Well, what we want to talk about today is satiety, being full, and how do we achieve that best on a whole food plant-based diet. We've been learning a lot from Jeff Novick, who's a dietitian for Dr. John McDougall's program, and we wanted to share some of that info today.
Yeah, when I first heard the word satiety, it was like, what is that? So satiety, it comes from the same root as the word satisfied. So what we're talking about is, do we feel satisfied after we eat?
Yeah.
And what he was pointing out is that lots of times we will eat a meal and, we know that that's enough food to get us through to the next meal or the next day or whatever, but we don't feel satisfied yet. So, what's the problem here? And I really liked what he said. He said, hunger isn't the problem. Because it seems like, well, if I'm still hungry after I've eaten this food, hunger is the problem. But he said, hunger isn't the problem. Our food supply is. And went on to explain that. And that's what we'll talk about here. And it's just fascinating how what Connie just said, how to be satisfied on a whole food plant-based diet. The whole food plant-based diet is very much aligned with what our bodies evolved with, what the human physiology evolved with. And that pretty much takes care of how to stay full.
Yeah, the whole food plant-based diet is how the body thrives. It's also very, very high in nutrient, so it's more filling than a diet that isn't high in nutrient, which all of our processed foods are very, very low in nutrient.
Yeah, and what Jeff was saying is that there are basically three elements that help us to feel full. And the first was water, the second was fiber, and the third was nutrients. So yeah, by having the high nutrient diet, we take care of that nutrient factor. But it was interesting because he said that's really the least important of these three factors in our society today. He said basically water is so important because it adds volume and weight. So just think about it. He gave some examples. It was kind of cute. What was it? It was he had two little soy chicken nugget things, and what was the comparison?
Cantaloupe.
No,
Cantaloupe.
The cantaloupe was with something else. I'm sorry.
It was cantaloupe.
Okay, let's call it cantaloupe.
Yeah, a small cantaloupe cut in half.
Yeah.
Both halves shown as equal in calories to the two chicken nuggets.
Yeah, and equal in fat. And so, oh no, it was a cup and a quarter of lentil soup, vegetable lentil soup. Oh. That's what it was, with the chicken, with the soy chicks nuggets. And, so he just asked, so which one's going to make you feel more satisfied? And it's kind of a no-brainer. And so he was pointing out, well, sure, you've got this soup, this lentil soup, and it has a lot of water, a lot of volume, a lot of weight. And one of the hunger signals that we have what are called stretch receptors in our stomach. So that as we add volume and weight, they stretch. And as these receptors get stimulated, it's like, oh, I've had enough. So when he says the problem isn't hunger, it's our food supply. It's like when we do these little snacky things with these concentrated calories in things that don't have water, volume, and weight, we're not satisfied and we want to keep eating.
True.
So the other point was fiber. And what he was saying about that is that fiber doesn't really take a lot of volume. It's not very heavy, but when you mix it with water, what happens?
It expands.
Right. So then we get bulk. So there's volume, weight, and bulk. And that takes care of those stretch receptors and has a lot to do with whether we feel satisfied or not. Another example he had that was kind of interesting was he had six potatoes, six small baked potatoes
with salsa on top.
with salsa on top. Right. And that was compared to, gosh, my memory's not too good. We just watched it. Do you remember what the potatoes were with?
No. Maybe 2 Oreo cookies.
No, it was a cup of cashews.
Oh, that was it.
So that was interesting too. It was like 800 calories from a cup of cashews or from 6 small potatoes. And so again, the question is, which is going to fill you up?
Yeah, the potatoes for sure.
Yeah, you see, we've got the volume, we've got the weight, we've got the fiber, we've got all those things. And he pointed out that the cashews, that cup of cashews has like 40% fat in it, and the potatoes have 1% fat.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Such a difference.
So the calorie density is considerably different. So that's what we're seeing about really staying satisfied with a whole food plant-based diet, is that it takes care of the hunger signals. When we eat whole food plant-based instead of these snacky things that are high calorie dense, we're satisfied.
Yeah, and we don't eat the snacky things anymore, but we understand it because we did in the past for sure.
Yeah, right. And like the cashew thing, you know, when you compare the cashews to the potatoes, it seems like he asked the question, so does that make cashews fattening?
No,
And
no.
he said, no, if you eat a few.
Yeah.
If you make it your whole diet, then it's that real high caloric density, and then you're going to put weight on. So that's why we recommend, in terms of the whole food plant-based diet ratio of things we eat, that we really pay attention to those high caloric foods, nuts and seeds, avocado. Yeah.
Any kind of free oil is 4,000 calories a pound. Way up there with no nutrient, really almost none.
And potatoes are like 300 calories per pound.
Yeah.
So that's what he was saying. You know, you eat these potatoes and you're doing fine. You're getting that sense of satisfaction. You're not adding calories that you don't need. But if you add butter or oil or something, you just doubled or even tripled the calories in that meal, and it didn't make you any more full.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So hunger isn't really the problem. It's our food supply. It's just so easy these days to get these high calorie foods with no effort.
Yeah. Well, what I learned that impressed me the most, if you look at making pasta, whole grain, whole wheat pasta, rice pasta, and you have 4 cups of pasta, that has, I think, about 800 calories or 700, he said. If you take 2 cups of that pasta and set it aside and add 2 cups of vegetables to the pasta that's left, you bring the calorie content way down, and you're going to be as full or fuller with that combination of food. And then put your tomato sauce on top. But do you just use a marinara sauce? Well, if you want more volume, more bulk, no. You use a chunky tomato sauce, maybe with red pepper in it, mushrooms. Yeah, and you put that on top. You've cut your caloric intake way down, but you'll feel very full. And it will taste amazing. We thought we'd add a package of frozen broccoli, some sliced carrots, maybe some sliced string beans, maybe cauliflower. We're going to try that next. I put a lot of veggies in my pasta sauce, but nothing compared to that. I'm going to use half a package of pasta and a lot of veggies and see how we like it. I think we'll love it.
I think so too. You know, it sure makes sense to me. And just as you described that meal, I feel more satisfied thinking about it that way, because our ratio of pasta to veggies in the past, it's like the veggies were kind of just a seasoning, and the meal was the pasta. And the idea of just eating more veggies with that, I feel satisfied just thinking about it.
Yeah, good.
So the one other thing that Jeff mentioned that I thought was interesting is he said that foods that are high in water, fiber, and bulk, they fill us up. But the foods high in fat, sugar, and white flour, processed grains, they don't make us satisfied. They don't fill us the same way. For all the calories we put in, we don't have the hunger signals satisfied. So we tend to overeat those. So as again, we're probably preaching to the choir here. You're probably all on whole food plant-based already. But we find it fascinating to just look at it from these new angles, these new facets of how it is that whole food plant-based can really satisfy us and provide us with the level of health and weight loss that we're looking for.
And recipe. We made a wonderful potato hash. It's a recipe that Mary McDougall gave, and we adapted it, changed it a little bit. It was so good, and we did it with a big pan of cabbage and kale, and there was something, zucchini in there. So we got plenty of greens, but we want to share that recipe because it makes a great breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We had it for lunch, and it was really good. Lots of peppers, corn,
Onion and garlic.
Onion.
Oh,
no garlic in
Yeah,
that one.
that's right.
Yeah,
But
but really good.
yeah.
Give it a try.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.